Hello everyone, welcome back to Gossip Star Vibe. Papoose, the man known for staying solid by Remy Ma's side through everything, was spotted yelling in a hospital hallway, and all the doctors could say was, "There's no heartbeat." Wait, what? Remy Ma, Bronx royalty, a lyrical powerhouse, and the definition of loyalty, was suddenly in the middle of a medical emergency so intense, hospital staff reportedly had to remove her family from the ICU after an emotional breakdown. So what exactly happened? Why was Remy hospitalized to begin with? And why are some insiders saying her condition wasn't natural? One insider alleges she was brought in after a strange visit from an old friend. Another source claims leaked surveillance video showed a tense moment inside her hospital room shortly before she flatlined. And now, Papoose is looking for answers. He's not just in tears, he's demanding accountability, because whatever happened in that room might not have been accidental. And if the whispers are right, someone may have wanted Remy Ma out of the picture. Stay close, this story only gets darker. The hospital was silent, eerily so. Harsh white lights buzzed above cold, sterile floors, and the air reeked of bleach and bad news. Then, piercing through the stillness, came a cry, raw, frantic, and all too familiar. "Help her, please." It was Papoose, the same man who stood by Remy through everything. Prison time, public backlash, personal trials, was now on the hospital floor, broken, pleading with doctors to save her. But it was too late. When they checked for a pulse, there was nothing. Now let's rewind, because what led up to this wasn't just tragic. It was suspicious, chaotic, one of the most shocking twists hip-hop has seen. Sources inside the hospital say Remy arrived at 3:14 a.m. in a private ambulance. Not a standard emergency call, but a direct dispatch traced back to a burner phone linked to someone tied to Claressa Shields. Yes, that Claressa, the boxer. The same woman reportedly training with Papoose during his fitness phase. You remember? Here's where things get strange. When Remy got to the ER, she was dazed, barely coherent. Her blood pressure, dangerously low, breathing, fast and erratic. Pupils, dilated, but no injuries, no trauma, just a body in rapid decline, with no clear reason. That's when suspicion set in. A nurse who spoke under anonymity said she didn't reek of alcohol or substances. She just seemed empty, like her spirit had left. The most alarming detail? Her intake file was marked as voluntary collapse. Excuse me? There's no legitimate diagnosis called voluntary collapse. That's not medical. That's a cover story. Meanwhile, security footage shows Claressa Shields slipping in through a rear entrance just minutes before the ambulance pulled in. Dressed in all black, hood up, no entourage. When security stopped her, she showed a handwritten visitor pass and said, "I'm here for Reminisce." Her full name, real personal. She stayed just 12 minutes, then left without saying a word. And here's where things spiral. Doctors briefly stabilized Remy. She was semi-aware and reportedly murmured, "Tell Pap, I'm sorry." Sorry? For what? Moments before losing consciousness, her heart rate spiked, then flatlined. Doctors rushed in. CPR was performed, epinephrine administered, defibrillator used. No response. That's when Papoose arrived. Witnesses saw him sprint barefoot into the ICU in sweatpants, clutching a phone and a worn-out notebook. He reportedly shoved past 3 nurses, yelling, "Where is she? She wasn't supposed to be alone." A security guard restrained him just as a doctor delivered the crushing update. "There's no heartbeat." That's when the folder fell from his hands. Inside, alleged printouts of messages between Remy and a contact saved as Spar Queen. That's the same alias Claressa's team uses on encrypted apps. Now fans are wondering, was this more than a health scare? Was it emotional sabotage? People close to the family say Remy had just found out something that shattered her. One cousin says Remy overheard a call between Papoose and Claressa on speaker. He was saying, "She can't know yet," the cousin told a blog, and Remy was right behind the door. If that's accurate, what followed wasn't random. It was heartbreak that broke her. And remember, just days before, a grainy image went viral of Claressa and Papoose entering a Detroit hotel. The internet had a field day, but both denied anything inappropriate. "We're just training," Claressa had posted, but the caption didn't explain the robe she was wearing, or why Papoose looked like he'd just been through it, back at the hospital. After attempts with the defibrillator failed and Remy's vitals showed no improvement, doctors listed her as medically unresponsive. Not brain dead, not officially deceased, but trapped somewhere in between life and death. That's when Papoose made a phone call, not to a lawyer, not to relatives, but to a journalist. Leaked call logs show he reached out to a private media contact from a well-known underground hip-hop blog. The message? If something happens to her, release everything in the folder. So, what does the folder contain? Reportedly, it holds a collection of texts, screenshots, photos, and even voice recordings, covering the last 6 months. DMs between Claressa and Papoose. Notes Remy wrote to herself, missed studio sessions, canceled appointments, sudden money transfers from a shared account to an unknown bank in Texas. And in one haunting note, Remy wrote, "I've made it through worse, but betrayal? That's what will finish me." Now her family is in chaos. Remy's mother supposedly fainted in the waiting area upon hearing the code for flatline. Her brother punched a wall. A cousin was escorted out after shouting at medical staff. Meanwhile, fans outside the hospital held a vigil, lighting candles, singing her lyrics, and waving signs that read, "Remy, stay with us." Inside, though, hope was fading. As the monitors slowed and slowed, all Papoose could do was quietly plead, "Come back to me, please." And then, the lights dimmed, the door shut. The instant the door closed, everything stopped. Outside Remy's hospital room, it was as if time paused. Doctors weren't speaking, nurses weren't moving. And Papoose? He wasn't breathing either, frozen in place, fists tight, staring at the monitors that once pulsed with Remy's heartbeat, now silent. But what no one realized, and what the hospital refuses to address, is what followed. Just 2 minutes after Remy flatlined, a warning appeared on the hospital's internal system. Unauthorized access attempt, ICU server. Someone had tried to remotely get into Remy's medical records. No password, no credentials. Just brute force hacking. And the IP traced back to Flint, Michigan, Claressa's hometown. Coincidence? The hospital's IT flagged it as suspicious. But rather than report it, they were instructed to dismiss the alert, an order that, according to a whistleblower, came from someone at the top of hospital leadership. Why? Because Claressa had donated $100,000 to the hospital's athletic rehab center just half a year earlier. Think about that. While Remy's life was in danger, someone attempted to alter or access her records, and the hospital said nothing. But Papoose wasn't finished. He demanded that Remy be moved to a different area, one with tighter security, but doctors declined. "She's too unstable," they replied. "Too unstable, or too much trouble." That's when Papoose made another call. He contacted Malik, Detective Malik, a longtime family ally, part-time private investigator, full-time truth seeker, the same man who once helped Papoose recover a stolen mixtape track list. But this time, it wasn't about music. It was about Remy. Within hours, Malik was digging through data, hospital entry logs, staff rosters, visitor pass records, and what he found? A 3-minute gap between 2:51 a.m. and 2:54 a.m., just before Remy's collapse, when a visitor badge was issued, but never signed out. No full name, just the initials. A.L. Amber Lewis. Yes, that Amber. Remy's old stylist, ex-best friend. The same Amber who disappeared from social media posts 2 months ago after rumors emerged that she had crossed a boundary. Apparently, she was spotted having lunch with Claressa in Midtown, something Papoose didn't approve of. So, what was Amber doing at the hospital? A staffer claimed she saw Amber leaving Remy's room that night. Hood pulled up, phone in hand, visibly shaken. She allegedly told a nurse, "She's gonna lose it when she wakes up." But Remy never woke up, and now fans were beginning to piece things together. Social media lit up with reactions. Amber? Claressa? This feels like a Lifetime movie. Y'all better stop calling it coincidence. That don't exist in the Bronx. If Papoose drops the proof, it's over for everybody. And proof was on the way. Just hours later, Papoose posted a black and white image on Instagram. No caption, no tags. Just a blurry shot of a phone screen showing a group chat named Her Downfall. Who was in it? A LCS, and one name blurred out. Fans zoomed in and claimed it resembled Jay Mills, Jackson Mills, an editor at an online gossip site, infamous for leaking scandal before the news breaks. Now the question wasn't whether it was a setup. It was how long this had been in motion. Inside the hospital, nothing had changed with Remy's status. Machines still quiet, monitors blinking red, family members rotating in and out, holding her hand, whispering words of encouragement. But on the outside, Papoose was building a case. Malik confirmed that Amber had come to the hospital 3 times that week, with no medical reason. He also uncovered 4 $7,000 transfers from Claressa to an unregistered account named Love Jail. What is that? No one could say for sure, but fans speculated it might reference Love Jail, the title of a song Remy reportedly pulled from release last month. Why was it scrapped? Because it was said to hit too close to reality. Leaked lyrics included, "You say you're training, but I see bruises. You say you're loyal, but I see excuses. If I go down, don't lie at my wake. Just admit you broke me for clout's sake." Now, those lines had taken on a chilling truth. While Papoose followed leads, doctors presented him with one final option: experimental electric stimulation. High risk, low odds, but a chance to reactivate brain function. He didn't hesitate. "Do it," he said. As the team prepared the procedure, Papoose waited outside the room, eyes shut, fists clenched. He pulled out his phone and played a saved voicemail. Remy's voice, light and laughing. "If I ever end up in a hospital, don't get all dramatic, okay? Just play this. And remember, I always loved you." He listened to it 3 times, then stepped inside, held her hand, and said, "Come back. Don't let them win." They began the charge. First shock, no response. Second shock, still flat. Third shock, a beep. Faint, quiet, but a beep. A doctor gasped. A nurse rushed to the screen. Remy's fingers moved. Papoose fell to his knees. "She's still with us," he said. When that beep echoed through the ICU, everything came to a halt. Doctors stood still. Nurses were stunned. And Papoose, still kneeling, looked up, tears pouring down his face. She was alive. Barely, but alive. Remy Ma had a heartbeat. Doctors sprang into action. Her vitals remained fragile. Brain activity was minimal. But the fact that her heart had restarted naturally was a medical miracle. Outside that room, the real chaos was just getting started. Because at that point, the internet wasn't just guessing. It had gone full detective mode. Fans had turned into investigators. Timeline breakdowns, DM exposures, flight itineraries. One Reddit user even claimed to have infiltrated a burner Instagram linked to Amber. And what they uncovered was insane. Snapshots of hotel bills, private messages from a handle called CS Knockout stating, "She was always gonna cave. I just helped it happen quicker. CS equals Claressa Shields." Knockout? Fitting. But the real shocker? A voice recording attached, featuring a woman who sounded exactly like Claressa saying, "She wouldn't back off. He chose me. I told her to accept the loss." Accept the loss? Fans were in pieces. Posts went viral. TikToks blew up. Speculations ranged from Claressa wanted her out the picture to Amber flipped the story for a payday. But none of that compared to what followed next. Papoose reappeared on Instagram, not with a post, but through a live stream. No edits, no alert, just him standing outside Remy's hospital room, holding a folder in one hand and his wedding band in the other. "I ain't here to play politics. Y'all want the truth? Here it is." Then he began reading. Texts between Claressa and an unknown number. "The timing is perfect. After the next bout, we drop the update." A bank record showing Amber was paid $12,500 labeled as consulting. A private voice note from Remy, recorded weeks prior. "If something happens to me, please know I didn't quit. They just broke me." The comments went into meltdown. "What is this? They tried to wipe her out. This ain't just music, this is criminal." And that's when it got even deeper. Detective Malik, quietly working behind the curtain, finally dropped the real revelation. He traced the anonymous hack attempt on Remy's hospital file, confirmed it came from an IP tied to a private gym in Flint, Michigan. Who trains there? Claressa Shields. By morning, Claressa was trending everywhere. Not for a victory, but for a scandal so thick, PR agents were quitting on the spot. Her camp denied every claim. Claressa has shown nothing but support. Any other allegations are false and slanderous. But the fallout was already spreading. Amber's home was mobbed by press. Jackson Mills, the tabloid editor, was handed a subpoena. Sponsors began distancing themselves from Clarissa. 2 had already pulled out. Meanwhile, Remy was still unconscious, but stable. Doctors couldn't explain the revival. The in-house therapist called it emotional endurance. Papoose called it unfinished war. And it wasn't over, because the final thread came when Malik looked into the money. That $12,500 didn't come directly from Clarissa. It was wired through a PR company named Apex Influence, known for managing celebrity controversies. Apex's client list? You guessed it, Jackson Mills, which meant the story leaks, the private footage, even those anonymous insider quotes, all part of a larger scheme, an operation meant to push Remy out and rewrite the story in someone else's favor. But why? Turns out Remy was drafting an exposé herself, a memoir, titled Unwritten: The Truth They Didn't Want Me to Say. And chapters had already been submitted. One of those chapters, leaked to a small blog, described emotional deceit, about being betrayed by someone in gloves, about a person who threw punches in the ring, and beyond it. Not metaphorical. That was a direct jab. And fans, they weren't just watching anymore, they were taking sides. Protect Remy. Justice for Remy. We believe you, Remy. Thousands sent letters, art, and flowers to the hospital. Billboards appeared across the Bronx. Even Beat teased a tribute, just in case. But Remy wasn't done. 3 days later, the hospital released a statement. She was conscious, still fragile, still under care, but awake. And her first words? Did he fight for me? When Papoose nodded, she whispered, "Then I'm not leaving." Later that night, Remy asked to record a message. No polish, no PR, just raw truth. To everyone who prayed, thank you. To those who doubted, I'm still standing. She stared at the camera, paused, and added, to the ones who tried to bury me, you forgot I'm from the Bronx. We don't quit easy. And just like that, Remy Ma took her power back. Her voice, her side of the story. Clarissa, silent. Amber, disappeared. Jackson Mills, issued a public apology and resigned from exclusive Buzz Media. And Papoose, he updated his bio with one line. She woke up. Now the world will too. And they did. Because this wasn't just another drama. It was a comeback, a warning, a promise. Remy Ma didn't just come back from a health scare. She survived a plotted takedown masked as one. And now, she's reclaiming every piece they tried to take. So now the real question is, was this truly a medical emergency or a setup masked as tragedy? Remy Ma flatlined. Doctors gave up. But somehow, she returned. Not just alive, but relentless. Clarissa Shields, quiet. Amber, vanished. Jackson Mills, unmasked. Papoose, never stopped fighting, not for a second. And the story's not over. Because if Remy's words are true, that someone from her circle tried to destroy her, this is deeper than drama. This is betrayal. This is manipulation. This is a message to everyone watching. If they could try it with her, who might be next? Do you believe Clarissa played a role? Was Amber used or in on it from the start? And will Papoose finally release everything inside that folder? Sound off in the comments, because this time we're all part of the case. Like, subscribe and hit that bell, because the next update, it won't just be drama, it'll be the whole truth. This is Gossip Star Vibe, where the drama's always real, even when it feels unreal.